Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is really a pleasure to be able to be together this morning, and so I'd like to welcome everyone who is here in our sanctuary, here to join us in celebrating this holiday, in letting our voices express what was offered up so many years ago. When the Israelites found their way walking through on dry land, through the sea of reeds, they opened their voices in song, and this morning we will offer not just the echoes of their prayers that Shabbat, but the words that we have in our tradition that were offered in that moment, the words in our story. This morning, I'd like to welcome everyone who is here, as well as everyone who is joining us online, and that's on Facebook and on YouTube as well, and those who are joining us on our live stream at tilb.org. And I mention that just for a couple of reasons. One is that there is a slightly higher quality stream on that site, and that much later on in our service, when we get to our mourner's prayer, if there is anyone that you are thinking of, you can offer their name in the chat on tilb.org, and we'll be able to offer that name out loud. Well, welcome to everyone who is here to celebrate, I imagine, not just for our holiday of Shabbat, but here to celebrate also as we have a young person taking his first steps as an adult in our community. And so if anyone is here possibly to celebrate, you can nod your head or give a little, yeah. So, all right, so a couple people here who are just ready to celebrate. I want to welcome also our 7th grade teacher, Rachel Van Ralt, in our 7th grade as well. Rachel, thank you for teaching our students, bringing them to a place where they can stand at this bima and not just offer the words, but the meaning behind it as well. And I want to welcome as well David York, who is our partner here on the bima to bring in this day of music and song, bringing us into prayer with his beautiful music. Thank you, David. And I want to mention just a little bit of housekeeping as well. So the first is, if anybody happened to bring, and I know that no one would bring a cell phone to the synagogue for services on Saturday morning, but if anybody happened to bring a cell phone, just a gentle reminder to place it on silent, or to turn it off entirely. I'm going to turn mine completely off here so that we can have our morning together without that particular distraction. And a note as well about photos. We have a professional photographer here who is going to capture this service in a way that preserves the sanctity of our service. There's no need for any of us to take photographs this morning. We also have the Los Angeles County Health Guidelines as such that we are asked for everyone to please remain masked, and that is masked not just over our mouths, but over our noses as well, throughout our service. Now, you will notice, I'm sure, that Cantor Cooper and I are standing here without a mask on, and that is because we have very recently taken rapid COVID tests and have tested negative. But as an additional precaution, we've cleared the first 2 rows this morning. Additionally, anyone who is up here this morning at the podium and has taken their mask off is someone who has taken a test and has tested negative. I want to point out that we have a pamphlet with some of the different things that are taking place this morning, some of the different honors and such as we go through. Now, I will be announcing honors throughout our service as well, but if you would like a guide, as it were, through our service, I invite you to take a look at what is in that pamphlet. Additionally, I want to walk us through a little bit of our prayer book. We will be offering the page numbers throughout our service, but I want to make a note about what is on the page in our actual prayer book. Now, on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see the Hebrew words, and if for you it is meaningful to sing along to the words, you'll find the Hebrew and the transliteration on that page. But we know that each of us finds a different way into prayer. Each of us has slightly different needs on any given Saturday morning, and each of us finds a different way to meet those needs. And so, if and as our hearts wander, I'd like to invite us to let our eyes wander around the page as well. Underneath each prayer, you'll find commentary, notes about what deeper meanings might be unlocked from those words. And on the left-hand side of the page are alternative readings. I invite us to each find our own way into prayer. And for some of us, that's going to be singing along to the words, others humming along to the melodies, and still others simply letting those melodies wash over us. For all of us, I invite us to let this morning be what it needs to be. Now, this morning also, as we celebrate our young person, our young adult, Max, our student, our bar mitzvah, taking his first steps, I'd like to note that it's been a long journey. It's been many months and years to come to this place of leading us in prayer. And we have people from all around the community, all around, joining us here in our sanctuary and online to help us celebrate. We have a blessing for when we come together. Anytime we join together as a community, in fact, it's traditional in some communities to offer these words as the first prayer that we say when we come into a sanctuary. These words that come to us from the prophet Balaam, looking out at this community and saying, Ma Tohu. How beautiful that we would gather together, not just the space itself, but the way that it is created by our gathering and joining our voices together in it. And that is joining our voices online and here. And so we offer that blessing together this morning, Ma Tohu, on page 74 of our prayer books.
Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu, Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu, Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu, Ani בברוכתך אבוא ביתך אשתחווה אל קודשך ביראתך Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu, Ma Tohu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ma Tohu.
Well, there are many ways that Max is bringing in the memories of those near to him into this service today, and beginning memories as well. And so as Max first places the talit on his shoulders, I'd like to invite up his parents, Laura and Jeffrey, to present him with this garment, beginning memories with this sacred talit that he'll be wearing throughout the many meaningful days of his life. Should we take our next?
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef bat tzitzit. Yeah. I hereby accept the obligation of fulfilling these mitzvot as commanded in our Torah. You shall be holy, for I, your God, am holy. You shall not render an unjust decision. Leave something of what you possess to the poor. Do not hate your fellow human being. Judge your neighbor fairly. Do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. Do not gossip or spread rumors. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. Love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai, your God. We continue with the Baruch Hu on page 108. Please rise and bow your spirit. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai
We join together on page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha berachamim, uv tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit, ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, Mala haaretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach maaseh yadecha, ba'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha selah, or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkei hulanu mehera leoro, baruch atah Adonai, yotzer hameoro.
You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that is turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks on the sea. You are praised who forms the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light. We continue with Ahava Rabbah on page 112.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola Vitera Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shibatu Vecha Vat Landem Chukei Chayim Kain Techonenu Ut Landenu. Veha erinei Eloheinu betoratecha vedavek leveinu v'mitzvotecha v'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nikalim v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed v'ha'erinenu betoratecha v'dabek leveinu b'mitzvotecha v'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha.
We continue with the Shema on page 114. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotavot bein einecha uv'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkeru v'yasitem et kol mitzotai v'echem et kol kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hoseti attempt ha'eretz Mitzrayim Elohim Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
Please join me on page 122 for the Mi Hamocha.
Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha neder b'kodesh nora tehilo rosefele nora tehilo rosefele shira chadasha shiphu geulim leshimcha sfat hayam yachad kulam hodu vehimlichu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 Sur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael uvteichinu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael Golenu Adonai Savaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We continue with the Amidah on page 124. Please rise in body or in spirit. Adonai Sefer Taiftivta Ufi continue with the Kedusha on page 130. Let us sanctify your name on earth, as it is sanctified in the heavens above, as it is written by your prophet, Holy, holy, holy is Adonai Tzebaot. God's presence fills the whole earth. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kashem shemakdishim tobish memara, kakatu v'ya nevi'ehad v'kazeh ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzebaot, meloko ha'aretz kevodosh. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adir, Yomcha b'chu ha'aretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, min kamo, echad hu v'echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashvienu, b'rachamenu ne'ehei ha'kol. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elochai b'Tzion, le'dor v'dor. Hallelujah.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We continue on page 132. Please join us in saying V'shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please turn to page 137, forward say.
רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני, שאותך לבדך ביראה נעבוד.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to share its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment fall within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of the world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name sanctify every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Hamvarech
hamborech et
amo
Yisrael
Yisrael
bashalom.
Bashalom.
The top of 140. Sim shalom tova uvracha chaim chaim v'chesed verachamim. 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 Please continue silently with either the words that are in the Siddur or with the words that are in your own heart. We'll gather together in song in a couple of minutes.
Well, as we continue our service now, which is actually historically the center of the service, the opportunity to open up the words of our tradition, to read them and hear them in the language that has been shared for many, many generations. Thousands of years of the same words bringing inspiration to our community. I want to mention just a little bit more of that housekeeping. We are going to, in a little bit, be taking the Torah out of the ark, and it is traditional to bring the Torah out to the community so that we can all celebrate together. And when Max brings the Torah out to each and every one of us, at other times it would be traditional to offer a hug, to say Mazel Tov to Max. I want to invite us to find other ways to offer that same Mazel Tov. We can say it. We can maybe offer and let Max know that he's doing an amazing job leading us in prayer. And simply because of the day that we are in, we are asking simply that we not hug in this moment, which is something I'm very unfortunate to have to say. The other thing that I want to mention is that it is traditional for some of us to either place a hand on the Torah or a prayer book on the Torah and then kiss the part of the Torah that, or the part of our hand or prayer book that touched the Torah. I do invite us to do this, but of course to leave our masks on as we do that as well. We will be bringing the Torah to the entire congregation, and so if it doesn't get to you right away, it will. We'll bring it to you. To help us in this part of our service, I'd like to actually invite up a handful of members of Max's circle to help us open the ark. And so I'd like to invite up David Engerman, Stephen Natopsky, Julie Engerman, and Jack Natopsky up to our bima to help us open our ark. As we pass the Torah down the generations, I'd also like to call up the generations of Max's family: Justin LaBarbera, Ginger Freed, Laura Engerman, and Jeffrey Engerman, as well as who is not able to be with us physically, but is very much here in spirit and is an important part of this generation, is joining us virtually, is Alan Engerman as well. When we get to the point of undressing our Torah after we do our hakafot, I will also invite up Carly Mendelson, Lenny Firestein, as well as Eric Rhinestone to help us undress our Torah, but not yet when we get to the end of our hakafot, our walking around of the Torah. Well, as we bring the Torah out of the ark this morning, I'd like to invite up those members of the generation to generation. The rest of the congregation I'd like to invite to please rise in body or in spirit.
מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני my מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. שנתן תורה, תורה. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה. לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, unromem Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hachod. Ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz, ki chol b'shamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'haminaseh lechol rosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avoda ve'al gemelut chasadim. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avoda ve'al gemelut chasadim. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer.
I'd like to call up Candy Mendelson, Lenny Fearstone, and Eric Rhinestone to help us as we undress our Torah.
Al gemelut chasadim, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avoda ve'al gemelut chasadim. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omer.
Well, as Max is finding his place in the Torah, if you could hold that up just for a moment, Max, this just a note about this particular yod. Now, we know that one of the ways that we bring meaning into our lives is by drawing in memories into moments and people into moments as well. This beautiful yod that Max will be reading with this morning it belonged to Max's grandmother and grandfather, Justin and Barbette La Barbera, and so he will be bringing their presence. They'll be joining him in that way by reading from the Torah with that very same yod this morning. A note as well about the particular verses that he'll be reading from this morning. We'll be hearing a slightly different melody this morning, the words of Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. And so if you listen, and you may have heard Torah trope in other contexts, it's a different melody today because the words that are shared are themselves a song in the text. I'd like to invite everyone to please be seated, and we'll give Max a minute to find his spot.
Found it.
Oh, that was quick. I don't know if you could hear Max said, "Found it." Well, for the first aliyah, we call up Max's grandpa and uncles and cousins, Justin La Barbera, Mitch Cohen, Jeff Spala, Mark Cohen, and Brian Cohen.
Nala Amod Hamishpacha Laliyah HaTorah.
Not here.
Apologies. Thanks so much. Okay. We'll count of three. 1, 2, 3. Baruch et Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch
Adonai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher b'karvanu mikol ha'amim v'nashamanu et torto Baruch atah Adonai Nosein Torah.
Amen.
Hashem Moshe Ubnei Yisrael et Hashira Hazot Ladonai Vayomeru Lemor Ashira Ladonai Ki Ga'a Sisvaro Chavo Rama Vayam O Zivit Simrat Ya Vayli Lishua Ze'eli Vanvehu Elochayovin where am I? Ze'eli Vanvehu Elochayaviv Amamenechu Adonai Ish Milchama Adonai Shemo.
We continue with the English translation of that very same reading.
Oh, yeah. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Eternal. They said, I will sing to the Eternal, for God has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver Adonai has hurled into the sea. The Eternal is my strength and might. Adonai is become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will enshrine the Eternal. The God of my ancestors, I will exalt Adonai. The Eternal, the warrior, Eternal One is God's name.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher nosan lanu et Torah. Baruch atah Adonai nosein Torah.
Amen. Well, for our second aliyah, we'd like to call up Max's grandmother and aunts and cousins, Brenda Cox, Colleen Cohen, Katie Cox, Heidi Cox, Emily Cox, and Sophie Cohen.
Nala Amod Hamishpacha L'Aliyah HaTorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Markevot paro v'chelo yara vayam umivhar shalishav tubu vayam sov tehomot yechasimu yardu vimsalot kemo aven yamincha Adonai nedari bakoa yamincha Adonai tirat soyev uvrov ge'oncha taharos pamecha tishala haroncha yochlemo kakash. Pharaoh's chariots and his army God has cast into the sea, and the pick of his officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The deeps covered them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Eternal One, glorious in power. Your right hand, Eternal One, shatters the foe. In your great triumph, you break your opponents. You send forth your fury. It consumes them like straw.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Keep it going. Stay up here, just on the other side of Cantorial. Well, for our next Aliyah, we'd like to call up Max's friends and sister, Megan Engerman, Julian Rothschild, Spencer Fierstein, Idris Snousey, Sean Endres, Tio Barch Rodriguez, Samuel Levin, Will Liras, and Cruz Ivory.
Nala Amod Ha'achot V'chachaverim L'Aliyah HaTorah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Uvrov ge'onha, uvrua apaha, ne'er mumayim, nitzvu chamoned, nozalim, kafu techomot belev yam. Amar oyev, erdof asik, ahalek shalal, timla'e monafshi, harik harbi, tori shemo yadi. Nashafta veruchaha Kisamo Yam Salalu Ka'oferet B'mayim Adirim. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. The floods stood straight like a wall. The deeps froze in the heart of the sea. The foe said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My desire shall have its fill of them. I will bear my sword, my hands shall subdue them. You made your wind blow, the seas covered them. They sank like lead in the majestic waters.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
You can stay up here. Megan, you'll just be on the other side. Positive, you can retreat to your side. Oh, yeah. Just on the other side. After the next one. I want everyone to be seen except Megan. For our next Aliyah, we'd like to call up Max's parents, Jeffrey and Laura Engerman.
Nala Amod, Chaim ben Achonin, Leah ben Yaakov, Laliyah HaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nadar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei fele, Natita yamin lecha, Tivla emo aret, Nahita v'chastecha amzu, Ga'alta nehalta, Ve'osha el nevei kodsheha. Who is like you, Eternal One, among the celestials? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? You put out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your love you led the people you redeemed. In your strength you guide them to your holy abode.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. For our fifth and final Aliyah, we have the opportunity to call up Max himself to the Bima. By nature of taking on this Aliyah, he takes his place as a bar mitzvah in our community.
Nala Amod, Nala Amod, Nala Amod, Habar Mitzvah, Yaakov Daniel mi Beit, Chaim B'Leah Netanya, Laliyah HaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Sham'u amim yirgazun ki ahaz yoshvei pelashet az nivhalu alufei Edom elei Moab yochazemu ra'ad namogu kol yoshvei Chanaan tipol alechem emata v'afachad bigdol zeruchacha yidmu ka'aven ad ya'avor mechad Adonai ad ya'avor amzu kanita tevi'emo v'tita'emo b'char nachalatcha mahon l'shivtecha pa'alta Adonai mikdash Adonai konenu yadecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Well, the peoples hear, they tremble. Agony grips the dwellers in Philistia. Now are the clans of Edom dismayed. The tribes of Moab, trembling, grips them. All the dwellers in Canaan are aghast. Terror and dread descends upon them. Through the might of your arm, they are still as stone. To your people cross over, Eternal One. To your people cross whom you have ransomed. You will bring them and plant them in your own mountain, the place you made to dwell in, Eternal One, the sanctuary, Adonai, which your hands established. The Eternal will reign forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Well, as we now return our tour to the Ark, I'd like to call up to our bima to help us open our Ark, Brian Edelman, as well as Stephen Lazuzinski, as well as John Racklin. To help us lift and dress our Torah, I'd like to call up Dave Silver, Janice Silver, and Jeff Fierstein. The rest of the congregation I'd like to invite to please rise in body or in spirit.
Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah, Asher Sa Moshe, Vezot HaTorah, Asher Sa Moshe, Lifnei B'nei Yisrael, Lifnei B'nei Yisrael. Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah. Vezot HaTorah, Vezot HaTorah, Al Pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yai la 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 la, 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 yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la la la.
We can tie it like a bow.
Well, just as we have asked our young people to teach us and bring to life the words of our Torah, so too do we ask them to bring the words of our later books as well. And so we will be hearing this morning from the book of Judges from Max. I'd like to invite us all to enjoy and to revel in the words that he'll be sharing, both in the Hebrew and in the English. I'd like as well to invite us to please be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo U'Yisrael amo, u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Adonai, b'tzeitecha miseir, b'tzadecha mitzei, Edom Mirasha, Gam Shamayim Natafu, Gam Avim Natafu Mayim, Harim Nazlu Mipnei Adonai, Zeh Sinai Mipnei Adonai, Elohei Yisrael. Eternal One, when you went forward from Seir, when you marched from the land of Edom, earth shook, sky dripped. Yes, the clouds poured down water. The mountains quaked before the Eternal, the One of Sinai, before the Eternal, the God of Israel. There it is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kol haolamim, tzadik b'chol hadarot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer u'meteh, ha'medober u'mekayeh, shekol devara emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al havodah ve'al hovim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותך. יתברך שם בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Well, just as we ask our young people to take these words word for word and help us understand how they might live in our hearts, so too do we ask them to teach us. What do these words mean for us today? What relevance do they have for us today as we learn and live our lives in a meaningful way? And so we'll have the opportunity to learn what Max thinks of these words this morning.
In my section, Bashalach, the children of Israel, newly freed from Egypt, are stuck at the Red Sea. Suddenly, Pharaoh appears to the head of the Egyptian army, intent on returning the Israelites to Egypt and re-enslaving them. With the army on one side and the Red Sea on the other, the Israelites are trapped. Moses extends his staff out over the water, and God splits the sea for the Israelites to cross. According to a midrash, the waters did not recede immediately, and several tribes were arguing about who would go first, as it was not clear yet that going out into the waters was anything other than a suicide mission. Then Nachshon ben Amminadab, the chieftain of the Judahites, took a leap of faith and jumped into the water. He kept walking, the water staying where it was, until finally When the water was up to his nose, the sea began to split. And it is this expression of faith in God and his plan that merited Nachshon to be the ancestor of King David, and through him, the Messiah. When Nachshon started walking through the water before God, split the sea, he showed the Israelites that if you want something to happen, then you have to take a risk and pave the way. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I just skipped the bottom half of this part, that's right. Taking risks is important, because imagine what would have happened if Nachshon hadn't walked into the sea. God would not have parted the sea, and the Israelites would have been stuck in Egypt as slaves. But what if Nachshon had walked into the sea, and God didn't part the sea, and the Egyptians got them anyway? As a result, one might think that this shows that it is not good to take risks. But without taking the risk, the Israelites would have never been free. So you might as well take the risk and have a chance at freedom than no chance at all. I hope that you will now take risks and pave the way to success instead of waiting for someone else to do it. I want to thank Rabbi Fox for the support he gave me in making me feel a lot less stressed about my bar mitzvah. Saved me. You really made it easier. Thank you. Thank you, Cantor Cooper, for meeting with me on Thursdays, and then meeting with me on Wednesdays, and then meeting with me on Zoom on Wednesdays. I really appreciate you going on Zoom. You really helped me prepare for my bar mitzvah. Thank you. And I want to thank David York for the beautiful music you're bringing to my service. And yeah, you're amazing. A final thank you to all my friends for distracting me from preparing for my bar mitzvah by playing video games with me almost every day, and for helping me with my homework when I'm stuck. And most of all, thank you for being there and making me laugh. Yeah. And on to my sister, Megan. You're the best big sister I could ask for, but nobody asked me. You once told me that you would beat up orphan children for me, which explains why you always wish I was adopted. Even though half the time you try to kill me, the other half you are either helping me with my homework, playing Fortnite with me, or forcing me to ride my bike to the park with you. I want to thank you for willingly taking the blame and always getting in trouble because of me, and letting me escape from being in trouble. I also really appreciate you trying to help me figure out my Hebrew. Yeah, thank you. Mom, you're the best. You always try to cheer me up when I'm sad and listen to me when I'm frustrated. You always figure out how I'm getting to school and if I've practiced my Torah portion. Like every minute of every day. You always try to figure out fun things for me to do, and always get me the items and passes that I want in my video games. I remember the time when we were in Alaska, and I had been in trouble for doing something that I had been told numerous times to do, not to do it, and then I did it anyways. And you still let me play the Pokemon Go event because you saw that I really wanted to do it. Thank you for always being there, Mom. Well, we're done. Oh, and last but definitely not least, Dad. You always want the best for me, whether it be staying up late, helping with my homework so I can get a good grade, or teaching me to ride my bike. If you didn't know, my mom says she taught me, but it was my dad. I'm grateful that you like to tickle me to death, which kills me inside, and make the worst jokes that they're so horrible they become funny. Though I do appreciate you getting me and my friends ice cream and letting me play a few extra minutes of video games, all in all, I really appreciate you trying to make me laugh. The end. Yeah. And thank you for everybody who came far away and who didn't come from far away and here. And yeah, thank you to all my family and friends who came. Thank you.
Well, Max, it's really a joy to get to have this day with you. And I think all of us are feeling, I believe the word is kvelling. We're kvelling a little bit. And so I want to give us an opportunity just to say congratulations to you this morning. And so I want to offer us, on the count of three, the traditional words are mazel tov,
Oh, wait, I wasn't
congratulations.
Done. I wasn't done.
Okay, well, let us say congratulations, and then you can offer one more thank you. Okay. So let's on the count of three, I invite us all to offer thank you, to mazel tov to you on leading us and letting us celebrate you today. 1, 2, 3. Mazel tov! Well done! Well done! Okay, was there one more that you wanted to?
Yeah, I skipped it.
Okay,
I was
go ahead.
skipping the bottom page. I also want to thank my Torah Center teachers for teaching me Hebrew and Judaica since 2nd grade. And I also want to thank you for all your patience when I might have been noisy or not paying attention in class. I appreciate you for continuing to teach me on Zoom and for letting me get away with changing my name to reconnecting ... Okay, now I'm really done.
Okay,
And
all
thank
right.
you to all my fellow classmates who are here. Yeah, I didn't forget about you guys.
Oh,
There. Yeah.
mazel tov. Well, because you have offered these thanks to us and been such a gift, not because you've offered the thanks, but as you've been a gift to us, we want to offer that gift back to you. And so I'd like to call up a past president, a member of our community, to offer some gifts to you this morning. I'd like to call up Stephen Kiles.
Easy for you to bend in here. So, how are we feeling? Relief? Did it go faster than you think?
Yeah, a lot faster. My feet aren't even tired.
Thank you. All right. A little taller than you. Shabbat Shalom. So, very impressive.
I know.
Did you enjoy any of it? All of it?
Yeah.
It was kind of fun?
Yeah.
And it went just as fast as I said it was going to.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So, rest of the day gets even more fun,
Yeah.
especially when you take the tie off, I imagine. So I'm here to present gifts from the Torah. It's really an honor for me to represent the board and the congregation, and also to be called out by your family, and having had the opportunity to do this with Megan. It was like almost exactly 2 years ago.
It was 3 days, but
3 days off. So yeah, I thought I recognized some of the stuff. But yeah, we were in a slightly different world then, and so you guys timed it right, pretty good. Like, just made it in between. But you did yourself proud. You did your family proud. It's been fun. It's been an honor for me to watch you guys grow up here over the last 6 or 8 years, and get to know you and the family. And I'm just really honored. And one concern I have is the amount of Fortnite that we are playing. So we might have to discuss that afterwards. And other question, if you were told so many times you shouldn't do something, then why'd you do it?
I don't have a great memory, and like, she said it so many times, and she made it sound like she wanted me to do it.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like a little bit of a misunderstanding there. So, okay. Well, I think you got lucky in that you got to play it. But we might have to keep track of that, all right?
Yeah.
So I know in our conversations, you have done really well, and in your Mitzvah project, helping kids keep up with math skills, which I think has probably even been more crucial these last 2 years with so much remote learning, and it's difficult. So as we talked about, I think that sets you up really well for whatever you want to do in life. You'll be able to do it. You'll be great at it. And we here at the congregation are just looking forward to you growing and participating and becoming a leader in this group. And to help with that, we have a few gifts. So we have from the Sisterhood a Kiddush cup, and we have from the men's club. The men's club is a Kiddush cup. This is, it's kind of like one of these things where we don't really know what's inside, and you'll open it up. But there is a Kiddush cup. I'm going to go with that one. And then candlesticks, which very cool. And for those that might have been here, my daughter's bar mitzvah was a month ago, and we used the Kiddush cup from my bar mitzvah, which is inscribed the date January 8th. So we are right in line here. But it was a while back. And a Tanakh. So this is whenever you get a question or you want to use this to prove a point, everything you need is in here. Okay? So I want to say congratulations. There's also a nifty gift certificate made out to Max Engerman, spelled correctly, $250, trip to Israel. So very, very cool. And if you haven't been yet, you'll want to go back many times. So with that, congratulations. You did amazing. Congratulations. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Max. Oops. Thanks. Yeah, this is not the only Kiddush cup that carries some specific meaning, but more on that later. It was just jumping. Yeah. Max, I know that this was a day that had a little bit of, you were a little bit concerned about today, right? And we talked quite a bit about this experience of kind of standing in front of the community and saying yes, a foreign language, speaking in a foreign language to an entire group of people who are here to celebrate with you. And I want to give you a chance now to look out at everyone who is here. Now, it's a little tough because everyone, you can't see them smiling, but I believe that you can see smiling in the eyes. And so I want to invite you to see everyone who is here to celebrate with you today. And be rest assured, there are a lot of people online as well who are here to celebrate with you. Now, I know that sometimes when we get nervous, it's an opportunity to step back a little bit. And sometimes there's a reason for that. Sometimes we're in a place where stepping back is warranted because that nervousness comes from a place of being concerned about where and how you might be received in that space. But here's what I'd like to suggest for you. Max, you have a fantastic sense of humor. You're a very sharp person. And there are times where it's important to kind of lighten the mood a little bit with those jokes. I invite you also to find time to go in the opposite direction as well. To step in and let yourself be vulnerable a little bit. Because sometimes there are people here, and sometimes there are people in your life who simply want to be here to offer you a hug. And so I want to invite anyone who is here, who is just here because they want to support you. They are here, yes, okay, there's a beautiful service, all of that, but that they are here because they're excited about you leading us in prayer. I want to invite us to nod in this moment. Is it? Yeah, okay. Everyone is nodding right now. And so even you, which is important actually. It's important to be generous to ourselves. I want to invite you to find those times to let yourself be a little bit in it, a little bit vulnerable in that moment. Sometimes the entire community just wants to give you a hug, just wants to say that you did an amazing job in leading us in prayer. And so thanks for making us laugh. And thanks for helping us have this beautiful and powerful moment today. Max, mazel tov. Congratulations. You're welcome. I now would like to call up your parents to offer their words of blessing for you this morning. Laura and Jeffrey, come on up.
Amen.
And Megan, I apologize. Come on
you
up.
could forget her better. I don't know, choice. I know, but it's just. And at the end of my mom's speech, there's hugs, but.
The decision who's going first. So just to clarify, one quick story, the bike story. I actually was out there running beside the bike, running and pushing him. I don't know, for like maybe 45 minutes, and then Jeffrey came out for like 4 minutes, and Max told everybody, "My dad taught me how to ride a bike." I'm like, "That was me. It was me." He's like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "It was me." So just wanted to clarify that.
Fake news.
So I have been looking forward to this day, knowing that I will never have to utter the words, "Max, why aren't you studying your Torah portion?" with a response of, "I forgot." Or, let me see, "Max, let me see, have you spent at least 15 minutes studying your Torah portion?" with this great retort, "I thought you said to eat candy." Max has the sweetest soul, which is probably why he gets away with his creative excuses. Max, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. Max, you have many talents, one which is the gift of gab. You can talk with anyone, anywhere. You are knowledgeable on many subjects, much like your grandma Barbie, who not only was a great conversationalist, but incredibly bright. You are also creative, empathetic, and have so much courage. These are traits that make you a natural leader. I'm sure it's no coincidence your Torah portion is about the Israelites being led out of Egypt. When it comes to inner strength, you are a superhero. You stand up for what's right. You include people versus excluding. You stick up for your friends and are always looking out for others and ready to help those in need. You even let your sister use your things, your brand new things, before you even have a chance to. You have an innate sense of humor and are always ready with a joke, similar to your grandfather Jack, who always had an arsenal of jokes and could brighten up a room with his laughter and smile. He would definitely be so proud of the character and the person you've become. Max, you are growing up so quickly, and pretty soon you're going to pass me up in height. You have such a huge heart that sometimes I feel I have to step in and save you and be a big mama bear. I know you can handle it. I just love you so much that I never want you to get hurt. But I know I make mistakes, but always remember, I am proud of you. I admire you. I love spending time with you. You make me smile. I cherish your hugs. Life is filled with tough times and good times. Take the opportunity to learn from these things and be the amazing person I know you can be. I love you so much.
All at the bottom. Where is it?
This is probably there.
Okay, here we go.
It's Not that large.
Max, where do I even begin? You've been with me for your entire life, whether it's for better or worse. And throughout it, you've made my life better. You asked me to keep the stories about you safe and not embarrass you too much. But being the older sister means that I get to ignore that because I already had my bat mitzvah. Like when you celebrated 2 birthdays with one party because we weren't able to celebrate your birthday for a whole year. Or another time when Dad was pulling your tooth out and instead of coming out, it turned upside down and went right back in. The best part about it, I got the whole thing on video. I remember doing airplane with you and you would always fall on top of me. I remember warning you that Mom was coming home and you would quickly turn off the TV and run to bed. I will always laugh when I think about when Keely was babysitting us and we did not want to go to bed. So we kept making announcements on the Alexa like, Keely, let Max and Megan stay up all night or you will be punished. Remember when we were coming down the mountain after hiking Angel's Landing and we would yell different animal sounds down the canyon, like oink or moo, to see if anyone yelled it back. I will especially remember when we were mountain biking in Jackson Hole and you did not want to do it. So you faked falling on your arm so that we would take you to the ER and you could stop mountain biking. You then proceeded to wear a sling for the next few days just to over-exaggerate it. Or when my friends and I would team up against you in a game and you would just go with it, even though it was nowhere near fair. You always had your go-to joke of why didn't the skeleton cross the road? Max, why didn't it?
Why?
You didn't have the guts to do it. Oh. And you always try to brighten my day when I am sad. As most of you know, Max can make anyone laugh and loves to live life to the max. But you are a great brother and friend to me, even though I might not always be the same back. Such as whenever you get something new, and I would immediately want to play with it. Oftentimes before you even get a chance to. But you would let me anyway. I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and I'm very proud of you. You did an awesome job today. Almost as good a job as I did. Mazel tov, and thank you for being my brother.
All right, Max. Well, first, I'd like to say that's my hope and desire. No.
I'm going to give a few.
That I make it through this speech without my eyes welling up with tears, such that I'm able to read this, what I've written for you, which many of you here can attest happened within the first 30 seconds at Megan's bat mitzvah. So that's why I printed it in much larger print this time, so I can see it, and I have a hanky as well. So, yes, thank you. I'd want to thank everyone for coming here today to witness Max and celebrate him turning into a young adult. We have guests here who have traveled from very far, from Boston, Massachusetts, Miami, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas, Northern California, and all around. I also wish to thank everyone watching online and those who can't be here. I know for many of you it was a very difficult decision not to come, but we appreciate your sacrifice as we know you wanted to be here, but you wanted to keep everyone safe as well during these unfortunate times. Rabbi, we couldn't have done this without you. That wasn't for you. I want to thank you for your insights you provided and for making sure Max was finally able to complete his Devar Torah. Cantor Cooper, we're truly blessed to have you participate in this ceremony as well, but even more so to thank you for the countless hours you spent helping Max prepare for this. He's been chanting Hebrew all throughout the house, in the car, everywhere, and we're now chanting as well. So it has truly been a blessing. David York, hiding back in the corner there. It's always a pleasure to hear your musical accompaniment. We are truly blessed to have you support us them this wonderful day and throughout the year at all the services. Thank you. All right, as for Max's Torah Center teachers, you all have been amazing teaching Max to read and speak Hebrew and learn about his Jewish heritage. I cannot thank you enough for keeping him out of the house a couple days a week so that we could have some quiet time and play Fortnite without him. Otherwise, we can't ever get on. So I'd also like to thank the temple staff and administration who have also been very helpful and supportive in this day and making this day truly a blessed day. Last but certainly not least, we all owe a debt of gratitude to Laura. This is crazy, especially me. So Laura, what you've accomplished here today and what you've planned for this afternoon and evening is truly amazing. I cannot relate to you how much I appreciate what you've done, the hard work you have done, the effort you've putting in to making sure that Max's bar mitzvah was very special for him and for everyone else. I know it will be a day he'll never forget, and I don't even know the half of it, but don't think it went unnoticed or unappreciated. Finally, we're done with the thank yous. So on to you, Max. And I'm done. No. Max, first let me tell you how proud your mother and I are for how well you did today. How proud we are to be your mother and father, respectively. And how proud we are at the young man you are becoming. But more importantly, as I always say, you should be proud of yourself. Be sure that you recognize today for the win that it is, for what you have accomplished here on this day. You may not realize it, but today marks a significant moment in your Jewish and spiritual growth. Today, you demonstrated here to everyone, and everyone watching online, that you can read Torah, lead the congregation, and teach Torah to others. You continue a tradition that has been around for centuries, ensuring the Jewish people and faith endure. Throughout your life as your father, I've always tried to instill in you the morals and values that I thought were best, and to do so by setting an example. My hope for you is that you will do better than the best of me, emulate my better qualities, and learn from my mistakes, if you can find any, as well as your own mistakes.
Come closer to the mic.
Okay, is this?
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not even really a hope in as much as I see in you such greatness. I know you will excel in everything you endeavor to do, just like you did with this bar mitzvah. Now, this doesn't mean you won't have failings along the way, or that you will learn from each and every one of them, as we all aspire to do. I just hope that you recognize, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, and for the rest of your life, that it's all part of the journey of life. That you must be true to yourself and always follow the path that you believe to be right and just, making course corrections along the way. That all said and behind us, I'd like to share a few anecdotal stories about you with everyone else. Your mother and I know that participating in team sports has not always been your cup of tea. We know activities like that are not your favorite thing to do, that you'd rather be playing Fortnite on your Xbox, or perhaps Gorilla Tag on your Oculus VR. I don't recall if you told me this or if your mother just related to me, but I remember the criteria you set forth when we told you you needed to participate in some sort of team sport. After trying your hand at football, soccer, basketball, and water polo, just to name a few, you came to us and said that you're fine with playing sports as long as you don't have to sweat or get wet. Well, that did not quite pan out for you, as over the past few years you've been playing AYSO soccer, and you've come from your practices and games all sweaty. But your hard work paid off, your soccer skills have improved markedly, and you have made some really great friends. Even more than incredible than your soccer prowess is how you've excelled in school, obtaining straight A's in all your middle school classes. I hate to admit it, but you're doing better than I did. Personally, though, I think it's because of your mother. Max, your intelligence knows no bounds. Know that you'll be able to accomplish whatever you want so long as you truly set your mind to it. One of the qualities that sets you apart from many others is your personality and, as everyone knows, your sense of humor. You're a little bit quirky like me, but in an endearing kind of way, but always so much fun and funny. I truly appreciate you providing me with a stream of jokes to share with the people in my life. Like me, you like to have fun, and don't ever lose that quality. As I like to say, life is too short not to have fun, and life is too long not to have fun. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have work to do, but just don't take yourself too seriously. I know you want, as your sense of humor was clearly evident when you emceed your elementary school, the variety show at your elementary school. You showed no fear and had the audience in stitches with your off-the-cuff wit and humor. One other anecdote. You were such a card when you joined me and everyone at my office at a Dodgers game, a Cubs-Dodgers game at Dodger Stadium. I love that you had on your Cubs hat, your Cubs jersey, your Cubs t-shirt, although not everyone at the stadium was as appreciative as me, especially since the Cubs were winning. But when the game took a turn, and the Dodgers had the lead, you stood up, turned around, faced the crowd, took off your jersey, removed your Cubs t-shirt to display a Dodgers t-shirt you were wearing underneath. Everyone was cheering. You then started to rile up the crowd by swinging your Cubs jersey over your head to chants of, "Throw it away, throw it away." Thankfully, you did not, or you wouldn't be here today. And ultimately, the Cubs did win that game. But I think many people in attendance at that game walked away talking about you rather than the game. Since you were little, your mother and I have always said that you were an empath, that you are highly attuned to the feelings and emotions of those around you, except for maybe your sister. It is so genuine, and everyone sees this in you, especially your late Grandma Barbie, my mom, who recently passed away. Whenever she would talk about you, her face would light up. She always said that she just wanted you to crawl under her skin so that she could be with you forever. Just know that all of your grandparents love you and loved you so much and will always be with you. So Max, I will end with this. With you and Megan, I can rest assured that my legacy will be fulfilled, and that through the two of you, I will have left this world a better place, better than I found it. It is both an honor and a privilege to be your dad. I love you. Congratulations and mazel tov on your bar mitzvah.
Oh, and you couldn't read the last part. You are my favorite child.
The aristocrats. Thank you, Kevin.
We'd like now to offer sacred words of blessing, blessings that have been passed down generation to generation. Just as your grandparents and their love is here today, so too are the words that pass through their generations and onto you. I'd like to invite you to join me on the bima.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's face be turned towards you in graciousness.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha Alecha Shalom.
May God always watch over you, and may you be blessed with peace. I invite us together to say, Amen. Well, as we are brought to this moment of celebration, we have words that we offer in such a moment, and so I invite us to sing together the words of the Shehecheyanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh Amen.
We continue with the words of Aleinu on page 282 of our prayer books. I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol Lateit gedula leyotzei breshit Shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot Velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama Shelo sam chelkeinu kachem Vegor aleinu kechol hamonam Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai V'melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu bayom
Please be seated. Well, our thoughts now turn to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. If you are joining us online on tilb.org and are thinking of someone, especially this Shabbat, I'd like to invite you to share their name in the chat now. And Max and his family would like to especially call to mind this particular Shabbat as they celebrate this milestone in Max's life. Max's maternal grandfather, Jack Fried, as well as Max's paternal grandmother, Barbette Libera. We additionally think of those who are observing Shiva and Shloshim and are marking the 7 and 30 days after the death of someone near to them. And so our hearts go out to those near to Sai Alban. So we think of Riva and Bob and Jeannie and Jerry, Jill and Joseph, John, Julie, Bill, Deepa, Lorraine, Jared, Keenan, Simeon, and Joseph. And we think of those near to Gerald Allen Kurbatsky. We think of Andrea and Jeff and Shayna. And we think of those near to Arthur Schneider. We think of Joanne and Dan and Joel, Rebecca, and Annabelle. We think of those near to Debbie Siegel. We think of Susie and John and Jack. And we think of those near to Bernie Eisenstein. We think of Karen and Eric, Stella and Jacob. We additionally mark the yard site, the anniversary of the death of George Albert, Irving Axel, Harold Bernstein, Irving Blatt, Lena Butler, Edward Cameron, Stephen Eagle, Ted Ellis, Jack Friedman, Rosa Glazer, Joan Gordon, Dawn Gordon, Francis Gundry, Rosalind Hertz, Nathan Isaacson, Larry Leonardo, Isaac Levin, Rosa Martinez, Bennett Olins, Ralph Polsky, Harold Pottebom, David Rumi, Inez Sassoon, Arlene Solomon, Ida Spiegel, Ann Stedman, Michael Strock, Max Wysotsky, Melvin Whitkin, and Sarah Zimmerman. If there is anyone that you are thinking of and you are here in our sanctuary, I'd like to invite you to share the name aloud of that person as my eyes meet yours. If you are here having suffered a recent loss and are observing Shiva or Shloshim, the 7 days or the 30 days after the death of someone near to you, or are observing the 12 months after their passing or the yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death, I'd like to invite you to rise first so that we can recognize you in your grief. And now I'd like to invite all of us to rise together in love and in solidarity as we offer these traditional words of mourning, the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294 of our prayer books. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba, be'amad yibarach yirtei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba meborach leolam u'me'el maya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudusha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim alinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom imramav. Huya asei shalom alinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing at every moment in our lives. I invite us together to say, Amen. Well, we have a nechemta, a little bit of sweetness placed right there at the end of our prayer of mourning as we ask for peace in our hearts and in our world. And so we'll sing these words together today, right there at the very end of that same blessing.
Shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu. Israel, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom imromav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imru, Amen. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.
Well, as we conclude our service this morning, just note, and as Max and his family are coming back up to offer a blessing over this Kiddush, I wonder if Max, and I don't normally ask this of people, but I wonder if you might be able to show us your cuffs. So if you notice, there, Max is wearing a particular set of cufflinks today. And these cufflinks come down through the generations of his family. So too does this particular Kiddush cup, and the tie clip as well, right? Bringing sweet and good memories to this moment as we add more meaningful moments with each of these things. So too with the cufflinks and the sweetness that we drink from in this cup. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Go for it. How's it taste? Oh, it's all in the face. Yeah.
Good, right?
Delicious.
Delicious. I love that stuff.
Well, just as we have our blessing for sweetness, so too do we have a blessing for our challah, but there's a peculiar set of words that are in the blessing. It says, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, may bread rise up from the earth, but we know full well that bread does not rise from the earth. Wheat rises from the earth, right? And there's a whole chain of work that brings this challah to our table. So too is there a whole village that brings up and lifts up a celebration such as this, and it is both that we are blessing with these words. I invite us to join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon. B'tei avon and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Congratulations.
I made it through.
You made it.
You can have some. You want to put it down and have some?
I didn't get that. 30 seconds.
You're the first person.
You did fantastic. Really good.
The wine was delicious.
Mazel tov. So happy. He did fantastic. Mazel tov. Now he gets back that extra time.
Congratulations.
You don't have any more mini mitzvah to plan.
No
You're
more.
done.
I'm done. I'm like, woohoo! The day is done.
Right. Then.
Thank you.
That was a lovely, lovely speech.
Thank you for being so supportive, Max. You can tell how comfortable he is with you.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much.
Mazel tov. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mazel tov.
Was that yours?
No, it's not.
Oh.
I'm just trying to think.
Did you feel so relaxed today?
Thank you.
was this my speech for Matt? Oh, that's loud. Okay.